A while ago, I hired a teacher who was excellent in many ways. She was smart, skilled, helpful in many respects, but whenever I shared a bigger goal with her that I had, she'd tell me that it was too ambitious, that I should scale it back, make it smaller, safer, and more realistic. Now, that can sound sensible, but after a while, I realized that she wasn't really helping me expand. She was helping me actually set my sights lower. And so I kept going anyway. I stopped working with that teacher. And within 6 months after I'd let her go, I achieved the thing that she had said I couldn't do. That experience reminded me of something I later shared in a talk. I did this talk a couple of weeks ago for 6,000 banking employees on Zoom. And most people have never heard of a Z team. They've heard of the concept of an A team. These are people who are your cheerleaders, the people who back you up, encourage you, want to see you do well. But there's also such a thing as a Z or a Z team. I'll say Z now. But your Z team is made up of the doubters. These are the people who lower the bar when you are trying to raise it. They're people who try to make you smaller when part of you knows that you are meant to stretch and expand. So after that particular keynote talk, several anonymous questions came in from people asking what to do when their manager was on their Z team. And that's the hard bit, isn't it? Because it's one thing when the doubter is someone in your orbit that you can distance yourself from or let go, but it's another when the person who is supposed to support your growth doesn't seem to believe in you. And interestingly, that same person who asked the question about the manager, well, I presume it was a woman, but mentioned that their spouse also did not support them. So what do you do when it's not only a manager, it's actually the people closest to you that are not supportive? My name's Shola Kay. I'm an author and speaker, and I help people communicate with more confidence, more empathy, and greater impact. So why does this matter, this A team, Z team thing? Well, we all need an A team. We need people who can see our potential, especially when we're trying to achieve something new. And sometimes, of course, things are a bit wobbly, right? So a good A team doesn't just cheer you on, they also steady you. They challenge you well. They remind you what you're capable of when your confidence dips. And some of the things that your A team might do include reflect back to you your strengths. They might help you recover after a setback. They might ask better questions of you that help you step up and see bigger things. They might encourage you to keep going when you're flagging, or they may offer you some other kind of support that matters. But on the other hand, a Z team can have an impact too, especially if you don't notice what's happening, because doubters don't always sound negative. Sometimes they sound very practical. Sometimes they sound kind of protective, right? Sometimes they sound experienced, more so than you, so you need to listen. But if someone repeatedly responds to your ambition by shrinking it, that matters, especially if they are your manager, your mentor, your teacher, or somebody else with influence over you. So, what do you do in those circumstances? Okay, here are a few action points. The first is separate their limits from yours. So, just because someone doubts you, it doesn't mean they are right. Their view might be shaped by their own fear, their caution, the life experiences that they've had. And so, you want to ask yourself, is this wise advice for me? Or is their comfort zone talking? Some people don't mean you can't. What they mean is, well, I wouldn't do it. That's very different, isn't it? So, action point number 2 is check for evidence. When somebody keeps lowering the bar for you, don't absorb it automatically. Okay, you want to look for evidence that that's actually true, or evidence that it's not, right? What have you already done that shows growth, that shows that you have strengths that maybe you've been overlooking? What progress have you already made? That helps you respond from something more solid than just emotion and helps you move forward. The third point is build your team on purpose. So if one person in authority doubts you, don't let them become the loudest voice in your head. You want to build your A team deliberately. Be careful who you select. They might be a mentor, a coach, a trusted peer, or a friend who believes in your capacity and tells you the truth well. But don't leave your confidence in the hands of one person. Action point number 4 is ask for better support. So sometimes people don't realize the effect that they are having. And so you have to guide them. You've got to steer them. You've got to be clearer with them. So you might be saying to them something like, you know what, I'm open to challenge, but I'm also going to value your thoughts on how I could make this work. I want you to help me move forward, not just tell me what could go wrong. Or when you share a goal with them, you might say, I'm looking for honest feedback and constructive support here. So that gives the other person a chance to shift their mindset a bit and shift their attitude. And then action point number 5 is turn doubt into fuel. And this is where the Z team idea can really help. You don't need to be bitter. You don't need to be upset that they're a doubter. Just use that doubt as rocket fuel, right? Not in a frantic kind of I'm going to prove you wrong way, right? But in a grounded way. And a way that says, you know what, your limits don't have to become my limits. So sometimes the best response to doubt is steady progress. Just keep taking one step at a time. So now I have a word for the leaders who are watching this, or people who have influence. And leaders, this matters. So if people are asking what to do when their manager is on their Z team, that tells us something, right? And nobody wants to grow around somebody who makes them feel smaller. So you need to ask yourself, when people bring me ambition, do I help them to think bigger and smarter, or do I actually lower the ceiling for them? Great leaders don't just assess our potential, they actually help to unlock it. So be the person who says, what support would help you? What's the next step for you? How can we make this possible for you? And be firmly on somebody's A team. So build your A team. And if it helps, keep a few doubters on your Z team too, not with bitterness, but to remind yourself that other people's limits don't have to be your own. If you'd like more tools on confidence, empathy, and communication, then go to sholak.com/everything, which is where I keep all my downloads and all the good stuff about the work that I do with individuals and organizations. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.